Ada for asking a guy why he doesn't look like Chris Evans or Henry Cavill. This happened this past weekend. I've met this guy, Jordan, a few times in the past since we share a mutual friend, Brandon. Although I'd use the term mutual friend loosely since Brandon is only friends with Jordan because their moms are best friends and Brandon feels obligated to invite him to stuff. I've asked Brandon how he feels about Jordan. They basically grew up together, so, in a way, he is considered family. Jordan, in the past, has made some passive remarks, but I didn't think much of it. Brandon had mentioned that Jordan is a chill guy but tends to be very socially awkward and says stuff that could come off as offensive. Brandon had a little party at his place for WrestleMania this past weekend. It was pretty fun. We were all having a good time and we're having conversations about movies. One of them was how unfair Henry Cavill has been treated and that he was perfect as Superman. Another was how both Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie are great as Captain America. Once WrestleMania started, things then started to shift. Jordan looked at the female wrestlers and remarked how sad it was that they allowed their bodies to look like that, and that women have no excuse to not be built like Victoria's Secret models since their diets and workouts are available online on YouTube. Jordan went even further to say that since women don't look like Margot Robbie or Megan Fox, women must work twice as hard to look good. Brandon actually stopped him and said that he shouldn't say stuff like that. Jordan just shrugged. He stopped a little bit, but would make small comments about how the women wrestlers were buff. Later on, we ended up talking about Chris Evans and Henry Cavill again. Jordan talked about how they were perfect. Without thinking about it, I go, "Yeah, so why don't you look like them?" Jordan was taken aback and speechless. He started to spew stuff out like how he wasn't as tall as them nor was his body built like them. I told him that's exactly why all women can't look like Victoria's Secret models. After that, he was quiet for the rest of the night. The next day, I got a text from Brandon saying that, while he agrees with me, he says that next time I should just let him handle Jordan. Jordan says the wrong stuff and is offensive without meaning to be. While I do agree that nobody should be compared to anyone, I felt like Jordan needed to have a taste of his own medicine. Am I the a-hole? Ada for forcing my stepdaughter to pay me back after she ruined my house? I'm 43 female, and my husband, 47 male, have been married for 4 years now. We both have children from our previous marriages, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old and, 18-year-old girl. My husband and I dated for 3 years prior to getting married but moved in all together 2 years ago. O lives with us full-time and it had a bit of a rocky start with mine and O's relationship but we managed to push through it. I told O from day one that I wasn't her mom but if there was anything she wants to talk about or need, she can come to me. After a few months, we became quite close and she talked to me about anything she was too embarrassed to talk about with her dad. Recently, O has been trying to make friends at college since she just started in the spring. On-campus residence is very expensive for the college and it's close to our house so O decided to stay at home. That's not a problem. The problem is that O keeps bringing her friends over to hang out but living it a mess. Normally it's not a major deal. I have OCD so sometimes there is issues depending on the situation though, because she picks up after herself but I recently hired a housekeeper to clean the house once a week since I've been working overtime more often and me and my husband just don't have time. It is expensive but I cannot stand it when it becomes too messy for me so I think it's worth it. This time she brought her friends over after the house was cleaned and I guess they decided not take their shoes off and walked all around the house leaving footprints. They also made pizza from scratch and left the crumbles on the counters among other things. They pretty much made the entire house filthy before I could even come home. Once again, the cleaning service is quite expensive because I like a higher level of cleaning quality so I was pissed. My husband is trying to make me let it go because O has always struggled making friends but I can't let it go because of how much it cost. I requested the exact amount I paid for the cleaning service to her Venmo and she acted all confused on why she had to pay for it. I explained that her and her friends ruined my house that was just cleaned, but she insisted it wasn't her. I have a Ring camera and I have video proof of her and her friends going into the house, and they were the only ones home that day before me. I gave her two choices: pay for the damages or I stop paying for her phone. She's complaining, saying it wasn't her and she doesn't have the money to pay the phone bill. Am I the asshole? Edit to clear confusion. The cleaners came before O fully cleaned the house, then left, and an hour later O came in with her friends, accusing a veteran of stolen valor when she couldn't give any details about her service. I, 34 male, served as a captain in the Marine Corps. I have left the service, and right now I am doing an MBA. One of my classmates, 31 female, who we'll call Jay, is very gentle, very soft-spoken and unassuming. Jay and I were working together on a case study once, and I started opening up to her about my military service and all the lessons that I've learned from the Corps. Jay enthusiastically told me, "That's so cool. I was a surface warfare officer in the Navy." I immediately felt suspicious about this claim. As I said, Jay is very demure, and she doesn't really have the bravado that is required in the military environment. At least, I feel like a certain amount of bravado is required. I still humored her and began asking about the details of her military experience, where she deployed, what courses she went through, what ship she served on, etc., etc. Suddenly Jay got all tight-lipped, and she couldn't say anything specific about military life. She kept making excuses along the lines of, "It just wasn't a good period of my life, and I'd rather not talk about it." Eventually, I felt like I had done enough snooping around, and I bluntly told her that she was bullshitting, and that I'd rather not work with a phony. I talked about this experience with my friend, M, at our school's veterans organization. I told them to be wary of anything Jay says. M responded by telling me that Jay did serve. He's seen her paperwork and ID and everything, and that in fact, one of her MBA recommendation letters was written by a retired Rear Admiral, 08, who held Jay in high regard. Whoops! The next time I met Jay before our class started, I tried to act chummy towards her and make up for accusing her of being a liar. She laughed in my face and told me to pound sand, pulley. And for those of you who don't know, yes, she was being derisive here.
Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my wife in front of our family when she tried to flex about how she is an amazing stay-at-home mom? I, 41 male, am married to my wife Terry, 40 female, and we have two girls, one 12 and one 13. I work a full-time job in sales and she has been a stay-at-home wife mom our entire marriage. This was completely by her choice, even though we could have afforded childcare when our girls were little if she had chosen to not quit her job. I will admit, we have been having a lot of struggles in our marriage recently because I feel as there is an imbalance in the amount of time and effort we each put into our household. Some examples include, although I work full-time 8 to 4 Monday free and she is the stay-at-home parent, I am the one who wakes the girls up every morning, gets them ready for school, and packs their snacks and bags. Terry claims she's just too much of a night owl to wake up at 7 a.m. to get the girls ready for school. The girls will take the bus home and Terry will just take them to any practices or extracurriculars they have after school, and that's it. She drives them around and stays at games for 1 to 2 hours max per day. When she chose to be a Sam, it was our agreement that she would handle cooking meals and the cleaning upkeep of our home, and we would both split childcare 50-50. Yet it's become that she doesn't want to clean or cook anymore either, to the point where it's all falling on me on top of my job. The girls have even called me at night when I had a work conference saying their mom hasn't made dinner and told them to just get some snacks, and wanted me to order food to the house because they're hungry. It's been extremely hard because I feel like a single parent, and I honestly wouldn't even be this frustrated if she at least worked and I also worked while taking care of everything else. She simply doesn't do anything to add value to our household. Adding for clarity, we have had a conversation about this imbalance many times, but she doesn't want to change anything because she is comfortable with how things are at the moment. Recently, my family came over for dinner and my parents were complimenting how the house was so well kept, to which Terry had to go above and beyond to talk about how hard she works to maintain our home, and she's someone who has grown to really care about keeping up appearances with others. She then went into more detail the entire night during dinner about she cares for our family and home day and night and all this BS. In reality, I had spent 4 hours from the moment I got home from work scrubbing every last room in our house because Terry had decided it was more important to have lunch plans that day with her friends. This just completely pissed me off after the hours I already put in taking care of the girls, going to work, and cleaning the whole place and cooking the dinner. So I told my family exactly that it was all me and I've been handling it alone in front of Terry. Now she is saying I'm such enough for embarrassing her and a bad husband, and at this point I'm so over it I'd rather just be a single dad and move on with my life. I don't even feel bad anymore. I'm just so exhausted of asking over and over again for her to simply just do her job. So am I the a-hole?